Domingo Santana, ooh, I wanna have ya. Tanaka's Fakakta, Jag like Michael Waka, Polanco and Franco. Where'd you put your ass up?
Get into first place. Check batting ball data and swinging strike rates. Raisins are shriveled grapes. Here's Adam's happy place.
Happy Kokomo Friday and welcome into Fantasy Baseball today, presented by Line & Kugels. More on their great variety of beverages later on in the podcast. Frank Stanfield joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Busy podcast coming up. We have our Week 5 preview. Let's talk about a few hot outfielders on the field, obviously, and what their upside can be. Is Carson Kelly finally breaking out? Streamers for the weekend and much more. But first, guys, let's be mature about this. Have a mature conversation. Scott and I were talking before. Chris, you weren't here yet. How do you consume a hot dog? What condiments do you put on your hot dog?
So I thought you were going to ask about hot outfielders, and I'll just say Mookie Betts is a very attractive man.
It's Bryce Harper, and it's not close, Chris.
Nah, he's not that attractive. He just has a beard.
No, he is.
That's the same thing with me.
The beard.
Yeah,
The way he can sling it around.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, I can't do that.
That's like a Pantene commercial. He's putting the shampoo, he's just leaving it everywhere.
It is great lettuce.
Whenever my fiance asked me about like who's your man crush, celebrity man crush, it's Bryce Harper. But hot dogs.
Interesting.
Chris,
Hot dogs. Yeah, so we were talking about it, Frank, and you told me you like to go only ketchup, which is a child's way to eat a hot dog, which is a child's food to begin with. I know, but it
fits my MO. Everything I consume is like, it's chicken fingers. I have the diet of like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I usually go mustard with ketchup. I might go just mustard. I might really dress it up if it's available with like, grilled onions and pickles, whatever.
Scott's got to pull out.
Most commonly mustard and ketchup.
Mustard is gross, by the way. Let's just get that out of the way. Chris, hot dog?
I eat my hot dogs the same way Takeru Kobayashi does. I just dunk them in water and swallow them. You just eat like buns by the handful. Just like 40, 50 at a time. I
just thought of this from Step Brothers. Like Kobayashi. We're not going to talk about it. But Chris, you live in Brooklyn. I don't know if they're still open. There's this place called Criff Dog. They make crazy kind of hot dogs, and they have a bacon, egg, and cheese hot dog where it's just insane. So you should check it out.
Love a chili dog. Chili dog might be my preferred way to eat a hot dog.
Chili really does take the dog to the next level. Like
melt
like
that cheese.
Chili, whatever, hot dog, whatever. Together, it's like, what is this?
The problem is ideally you only want to eat that at home, and it's like the only place you can get it is outside of home.
Oh, my wife and I make that at least once a month.
Oh, all right. Well, then, thanks for the invite, Chris. Oh, my goodness gracious, from Thursday.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Why don't you get us started here, Scott?
All right. I'm going to go with Cristian Javier, who's probably the obvious one on this day with a light schedule. So he came back, hadn't started since April 8th, went 5 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts in those 5 innings. But what really caught my attention, well, what else? The swinging strikes, 21 of them, including 11 on his slider. So he's a guy who's known mostly for the fastball and, the ability to vary the fastball, that do a lot with basically that one pitch, kind of in the same way Freddie Peralta does. But he got 11 whiffs on the slider. And this is a guy who, as successful as he was as a rookie, he had an 8.7% swinging strike rate, which is like the sort that would be at the bottom of the league. You see that swinging strike rate and you're like, okay, this is not a strikeout guy. This is a pitch to contact guy who's probably going to get pummeled in the long run. Now, even with that whiff rate, that swinging strike rate, I should specify, because whiff rate means something a little different. Even with that swinging strike rate, Javier managed to have nearly a strikeout per inning last year, which is not great, but it's not what you'd expect for that low of a swinging strike rate. In the minors, obviously, we saw him do like 14K per nine. His minor league numbers were just ridiculous. So he's been a really difficult pitcher to figure out. But if he's going to be able to get whiffs in the majors, and even an above average way, not even necessarily the elite way he did tonight, that's going to open up new possibilities for him that could be pretty exciting.
And especially against this lineup, Scott, because the Angels coming into Thursday night, they had the 6th lowest swinging strike rate as a team in all of baseball. So that makes this start even more exciting for one Cristian Javier. So spend some time at the alternate training site. He's back now with the Astros rotation. I would assume he's going to remain in their rotation as long as he's pitching at least this well. He actually opened the game. The first 8 outs he recorded were all via the strikeout. So he came out firing, and he
only won on like his last 15 outs. You know, if you're looking at trends,
falling apart.
Bad sign.
What do they say about full game statistics are more? I do think that after this start, Javier is someone that needs to collectively move up our rankings. I don't know how far that is, but I was looking earlier. It's probably inside the top 70-ish range, around Sean Manaea, Danny Duffy-ish.
Yeah, that's fair. It was shocking to me how rostered he still is. Like 86, 87% in CBS leagues. I imagine it's less in ones that, don't have as many points leagues where a lot of pitchers are rostered, but still, I mean, credit to the people for holding on to him, because, when he first got bumped the rotation, clearly the 5th guy, I clearly moved him down my rankings too far. I don't know that I would have held on to him with all the other pitchers, all the other interesting pitchers that were emerging off the waiver wire, but clearly holding on to him was the right move.
Chris, oh my goodness gracious, from Thursday for you.
I think it's probably got to be David Peralta, right? He probably was the biggest performer of the day. Went 5-for-6 with 7 RBI, a home run, 4 hard hit balls, 5 balls hit over 90 miles an hour. Just a massive day, and all of a sudden his numbers look pretty good. I don't know what his OPS before this game was, but it's 824 now. I would assume it was well below 700, possibly below 600 before his home run, triple, single game, if anybody's got that information available. And he's been good in the past, not consistently, and there are definitely platoon issues with him, and he has not been good the last couple of years especially, but he's maintained pretty impressive batted ball data over the course of his career. He's always right around 90% with exit velocity, but max exit velo is usually 113. He's actually been in the top 10 percentile in the league every year in the StatCast era, so going back to 2015. I don't think he's a must roster player, but this certainly, he had a 665 OPS entering today, but this certainly, makes you perk up a little bit. He doesn't strike out very much. I think there's, if you need an outfielder, why not?
David Peralta has started every game for the Diamondbacks except one dating back to April 9th. That's as far as I can see. Actually, I used Yahoo Fantasy to see how often a player.
I can. There's a better way to do it, Frank.
Is there?
Peralta has started every game but 2 this year for the Diamondbacks. Now they've only faced 3 left-handers, and he sat twice against those 3 left-handers. So it seems like they're platooning him, but also, maybe if they were to face 4 left-handers one week, he'd start against 2 of them. I don't know.
Scott, let's talk afterwards, and you let me know what that easier way is to see how often someone starts, because it's kind of tough to find, or at least I thought it was. Scott, what do you think of David Peralta? How does he compare against someone like Brian Reynolds, who is performing very well for the Pittsburgh Pirates? Reynolds is 56% roster. David Peralta is 37%. So if you need an outfielder, they're both available.
Yeah, I'd rather have Reynolds, who,
Same.
I'm sure Chris would too. heading into last year, he was on the verge of being a must-start guy. He looked like a very safe bet for batting average, great line drive rate. He hit well over 300 as a rookie with an xBA of 290, one of the best in the league. And then there was the weird 2020 season where it was hard to make anything of anything, and he was terrible. But it pretty much everything has bounced back to that 2019 level as a rookie when we were buying him as this high batting average guy with enough power for that batting average to, for you to get the most out of it, for you to want him to be in your lineup regardless of the format. So yeah, back on board with Reynolds. He's overdue to be added in a lot of leagues, I feel like.
Oh my goodness gracious, for me, saw the YouTube chat talking about him a lot already, and it's Ryan Weathers at the Dodgers. 5 2/3 shutout, 1 hit, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, only 9 whiffs on 89 pitches, but somebody who comes with some prospect pedigree. He probably didn't get as much hype as he should have, at least based on draft status. He was a first-round pick back in 2018, just because the Padres have a loaded farm system, and Mackenzie Gore is the top pitching prospect in all of baseball. But in the minors for Ryan Weathers, 3.78 ERA, 1.24 whip, 108 strikeouts, and 114 1/3 innings pitched. He is 18% rostered, and this was a very, very impressive start. And it looks like his next matchup will be either at the Diamondbacks or at home against the Giants. So either one is pretty interesting. What do you guys think about Ryan Weathers?
Yeah, I'm not ready to really make a play for him in a standard mixed league, but there's enough pedigree there that I could see it. I could see him becoming relevant. I do think he's going to delay the arrival of Mackenzie Gore for a while. Really, I think Mackenzie Gore himself is going to delay the arrival of Gore for a while. Plus the fact that it doesn't sound like the Padres are. They're not even sending Lamet in for an MRI. Last I saw, so they don't seem to think it's a big deal. So it might only be a short stay for him on the IL, and then it might be a short stay for him on the mound again. But yeah, I don't think I'm ready to move on Weathers, and I don't think we're going to see Gore really anytime in the next few weeks.
I am contemplating making a move. I have waivers that run on Thursday night is when we're recording this. In a 15-team Roto League, would you guys drop Adbert Alzolay for Ryan Weathers?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I would. Like, I don't really. I guess if it was a head-to-head points league, sure, because Alzolay is not RP eligible, right?
I don't believe
I
so.
think he was last season, maybe.
Ryan Weathers is a SPARP, right?
Yeah, he is a SPARP, so that might be the one where if you're in a head-to-head points league, I may consider adding Ryan Weathers over Alzolay.
Yeah, only 18% rostered, so I'm debating. I'm thinking about making this move, dropping Alzolay for Ryan Weathers, something like a 2-3% bid on him, but this is, again, a deeper league. But if you're playing a points league and you need a relief pitcher, some SPARP eligibility, Ryan Weathers, he looked really good on Thursday. An honorable mention here for Alex Cobb, who was just dreadful at the Houston Astros. He allowed 5 runs. 4 of those were earned, over 2 2/3 innings pitched. He walked 3. And this can happen at times for splitter heavy pitchers where the control could just go completely haywire and things just get, out of control very quickly. So we were kind of touting Cobb as an ad. Scott, who would you want most out of this group? Michael Fulmer, Jake Junis, Kyle Gibson, Alex Cobb. They are all rostered in under 40% of CBS leagues.
I still want Fulmer the most. I wasn't really put off by that second start. You wanted better against the Pirates, but there were still a lot of good signs. It didn't really change my opinion of Fulmer. So he's still number 1 for me. Cobb. I mean, look, I'm totally fine dropping Cobb for any of those other 3.
Yep.
I probably would slot him ahead of Gibson still personally, but it's not with enough conviction that I think it's a must to hold on to Cobb. It was worth a shot on Cobb because the splitter's so interesting. And look, maybe he bounces back in his next start, but the odds are heavily against him being a fantasy asset this year, given how the last few years of his career have gone. And this is a normal thing. And early in the season, a lot of pitchers spring up. Oh, this guy's pretty interesting. I wonder where this is going to go. And then, a big percentage of that group disqualifies itself, and we reach kind of a stasis period where, occasionally new starting pitcher options spring up, but not with near the frequency. And I think I'm assuming this start for Cobb means he's been weeded out.
Whoa, I just saw some interesting news here. The Twins are placing Miguel Sano on the IL. Alex Kirilloff
there you go.
recalled. So, all right. I saw an article on Thursday from The Athletic. Should have mentioned the author, but I don't have it. But I like to give credit, but I don't know who wrote it. So Alex Kirilloff is headed back to the Twins. Chris, how imperative is it that you get Kirilloff on your team? He's 47% rostered on CBS.
He'll be the lead of my waiver wire column that I'm going to write after this show. So I think if you're in a league where he's not rostered, I think you should probably go ahead and add him. I'm not necessarily convinced he'll be a superstar, but it's when you're talking about a top prospect, it's always worth taking the risk. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my outfielders kind of stink in a lot of leagues. It's been a really rough start for outfield. And every time I look at my rankings, I look at I get to 30 and I'm just like, oh, that's all the outfielders.
Yeah. Basically it's like, I don't know, how much should I be sweating? The name's not coming to me. How much should I be sweating? Like a
Ryan Mountcastle?
There you go. versus Ian Happ,
I would drop Cole Calhoun, Clint Frazier, Victor Robles, and anything but categories league. I think there's
4 Kirilloff, right?
4 Kirilloff, yes.
Okay.
So you might, if Kirilloff arrives and plays a lot and does well, you might probably prefer him in the outfield anyway. But I guessing he's going to pick up first base eligibility here, that he's just going to directly replace Sano at first base, because that a lot of people think that's where he's eventually going to wind up anyway, and he played it a lot this spring.
Alex Kirilloff did? Yeah. Roster Resources already threw him over there at first base, so he'll have dual eligibility, 47% rostered. Add Alex Kirilloff if you can, one of the top prospects in the game and the top prospect for the Minnesota Twins. Before we get to news and notes, I just want to tell you about the all-new Stitcher podcast app. It's been rebuilt from the ground up to make it easier to listen to podcasts on the go or on the revamped web player. Stitcher is home to all your favorite podcasts, from classics like My Favorite Murder, This American Life, and How Did This Get Made, plus all the CBS shows such as Eye on College Basketball, Fantasy Football Today, and of course, Fantasy Baseball Today and FBT in 5. Stitcher gives you more control, like setting your download preferences per show and the ability to listen at virtually any speed. With Stitcher, you can listen to your podcast anytime, anywhere. So give the all-new Stitcher a try. Download it in the App Store or at StitcherApp.com/download. News and notes outside of Kirilloff, of course. Mike Trout left Thursday's game against the Astros after getting hit by a pitch on his elbow. It looked pretty scary at the time. His arm was just kind of dangling, and he was walking around, and he was clearly in pain. But as of now, they're calling it an elbow contusion. I would guess that Mike Trout is going to be fine. But
so now no first-round hitters are healthy, except I guess Jose Ramirez and Trey Turner. And Trevor Story.
And Jose Ramirez stinks again. No, I'm just kidding. He's going to be perfectly fine. His StatCast page is great, by the way. I tweeted a thing out on Thursday about, okay, if you have any of these hitters, the underlying numbers still look really, really good. So patience. Ke'Bryan Hayes re-aggravated his wrist injury while taking swings in Detroit, which sucks because great in the spring, homered in his first game, and now he's having a setback. As a result, the Pirates selected the contract of Todd Frazier, and they DFA'd Dustin Fowler. Dinelson Lamet and Keone Keller were both placed on the IL by the Padres. Jace Tingler told reporters that Lamet was feeling better and will throw on Friday. If you guys have Lamet, what do you just hold, right? There's nothing really you can do.
Yeah, I haven't moved him down my rankings yet, but if you think Dinelson Lamet's going to be fine, there's a bridge right over there that you might be interested in buying from me. I don't know.
Like,
Look, obviously I'm hoping for it, but it's just at this point, I feel very similarly with him and Steven Strasburg. I think I have them back to back in my rankings. Like the odds are heavily against them coming back and being fine at this point.
Yeah, and I'm way more scared of Lamet than I am Strasburg.
Yes,
and I'm pretty scared of Strasburg too. So that just tells you where I'm at on to Nelson Lamet. Mookie Betts was back in the lineup for the Dodgers on Thursday. Cody Bellinger took batting practice. He's currently on the IL with a hairline fracture to his left fibula. Zach McKinstry was scratched from the Dodgers lineup with back tightness. The Marlins.
It's okay.
What's up?
Someone named Sheldon Noose just hit a home run to tie the game for them.
Well,
so
it wasn't off Ryan Weathers, I'll tell you that.
They're so annoying, the Dodgers.
They can do no wrong, those Los Angeles Dodgers. The Marlins placed Brian Anderson on the IL with a left oblique strain. Expect John Birdie to see increased playing time. He's just 14% rostered. He had 9 steals in 39 games last season, has second base and outfield eligibility. So if you play in a categories league, specifically one with 5 outfielders, middle infield, I think John Birdie is going to have some value for you. Jose Devers, cousin of Rafael Devers, was recalled by the Marlins. Chris, our resident Marlins fan, he's rocking the all orange jersey. Any interest in Jose Devers in dynasty leagues or anything?
I mean, he should be rostered in like a 15-team dynasty league, maybe. I don't know about a 12-team dynasty league. What do you think, Scott?
What about a 24-team head-to-head points dynasty league?
He's got to be rostered in that league, right?
I don't think he is.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't have mentioned it. Oh,
that's a rough look.
Well, is he going to play that much? I mean,
yeah, like he makes contact. He's got a little bit of speed, but I don't really think there's a ton to be super excited about. I know there are some Marlins fans who do think there's something to be excited about, but I don't know. There seems to be just about no power there. He's got 1 home run as a professional in 180 something games. So
he's the opposite of Rafael Devers, basically.
Yeah. Like if you gave Rafael Devers Jose Devers speed, he might be like the best player in baseball.
Yeah, this is like a Vladimir Guerrero, Wilton Guerrero sort of deal, right?
I think there's like 3 Tatis brothers now, so
Really?
Yeah, I saw people talking about one of them today. He was a catcher, so it's like 14. Probably get signed in a couple of years.
Must be nice. Your whole family is just in the MLB. I wouldn't know. Didi Gregorius is expected back on Friday for the Phillies, who are in Colorado, so that will definitely help. He was dealing with an elbow injury. Jose Altuve may return this weekend for the Astros. Former Astro George Springer will play center field in an intra-squad game Friday for the Blue Jays and is nearing his return. Nate Pearson will throw in that game. Jordan Romano is on track to be activated on Saturday. Julian Merriweather was shut down for a few more weeks. Womp, womp. Imagine spending 30% of your fab budget on Julian Merriweather. Wouldn't have been me.
Not me. No, I only spent 50 or 20% of my fab budget on Tyler Naquin. So
hey, Naquin continues to hit, Scott. He needs some playing time. Donovan Solano was placed on the IL for the Giants with a right calf strain. Tommy LaStella was at second base, and I wrote Donovan Solano. Donovan Solano did not play shortstop. That would have been, who am I thinking of? Mauricio Dubon started at shortstop on Thursday. Jock Peterson was placed on the IL with left wrist tendonitis. Nico Horner has been recalled. And remember, he had a great spring. He went 16 for 44 with 2 home runs and 3 steals. Horner is only 15% rostered. Scott, what is your interest level in Nico Horner?
It's pretty good. Like in a 15-team league, I was regretting not having added him ahead of time. I thought I had until May. So now there's probably going to be a bid battle. That's a 15-team league, obviously. 12-team league, 12-team roto league with all those extra lineup spots to fill. He made a change to his stance that was showing more power this spring, and evaluators thought there was more power to be had there. He can run well. Pretty interesting. I would put him behind like the Jonathan India class of middle infielders. India hit his first home run today, but not far behind it. So if India is relevant in your league, I think Horner, provided he gets the playing time, he's right there too.
Just how good can these outfielders be? Let's start off with Mitch Haniger, who went 1 for 3 on Thursday. He hit his 5th home run. He is batting .316. I moved him inside my top 35 outfielders. Scott, he one up me. He moved Mitch Haniger inside his top 30 outfielders. How good do you guys think?
Like any outfielder performing well is top 30, like Chris and I were just talking about.
Yeah, I saw you move Jared Walsh inside your top 30, so that was, I thought, pretty impressive as well. How good do you guys think Mitch Haniger can be if he stays healthy?
Top 30.
Well, thanks, Scott.
No, I mean, I think he could be as good as he was whenever he was last healthy, 2018, right? 25 to 30 homers, 280-ish batting average.
That's what I was going to say. 26 homers, 93 RBI, 90 runs, 285 average. I think he'd be just about that good. Maybe eight or so steals.
All right, I think it's time for me to we're going to shut the podcast down. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Yes, Mitch Haniger, I think obviously the biggest thing is he just needs to stay healthy. He's been dealing with all these core injuries, a back injury. He had, I think it was either 2 or 3 surgeries since he got hurt last in 2019. So he's had all this time off and it looks like it's doing him well. I guess there's a chance that he is a sell high, but again, when we say sell high, make sure you're getting something good in return. Don't just sell Mitch Haniger for the sake of it, because I do think that he can be a top 30-ish outfielder the rest of the season. How about Alex Verdugo? He went 2 for 5, picked up his first 2 steals on Thursday. He is now batting .296 with 3 homers, 2 steals, 14 runs scored, 13 RBI. That, my friends, is a 5-category player. Verdugo entering Thursday was the number 8 outfielder in points leagues, number 13 in Roto. Chris, buy or sell Alex Verdugo is a top 20 outfielder for fantasy.
Oh, sell top 20. I don't think he'll be that good.
All right, 25.
Yeah, I do think there are, looking through it, there are like 25 outfielders I feel pretty good about. I have him 31, and I haven't really moved him up or down since the start of the season.
Well, you wouldn't move down.
I did just move him up above Kevin Biggio, but like I still have him right behind Jeff McNeil and Eddie Rosario, and I think those are good spots for him. I think he's really good. I just, there is a ceiling to how much power he's ever going to hit for. There is, I don't think, a lot of speed in his profile. So, you're mostly looking at batting average. That being said, if he really can hit 300 in an offensive environment where the lowest batting average in Major League history, which is currently what we're seeing, that could just make him a top 20 outfielder just by default, just because that's so hard to find.
I wonder if he's growing into power, though, because the launch angle is way up this year. He's kind of has the same things going for him that Ryan McMahon does. Strikeout rate down. Verdugo should have been more of a contact hitter than he was last year, but the strikeout rate is back down to where like 16%, where we're used to seeing it. And he's elevating a lot better. So I'm pretty encouraged by what I'm seeing here. And he's not fast, but he now has 6 stolen bases in what is it, about 70 games over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's,
it's not nothing.
Stolen bases are weird where they can just disappear instantly, but that's a good pace,
Yeah. We've seen some Red Sox hitters. Devers comes to mind where he's not fast, but he had 8 steals one year. I think that's probably the floor for Verdugo. I think he can give you at least 8 steals. I think there's a chance he can get maybe 12 to 15. So if he does that, he's probably going to be really good, especially in a Roto league. But I like to point out the batted ball data that you brought up, Scott. It's so far this year, Verdugo's ground ball rate is down to 38%. That's what's held him back in the past. That's been too high. Fly ball rate, 36%. Line drives, 25. That's a great profile for Verdugo. Chris, what do you want to say?
I'm just, given that he plays at Fenway, which is arguably, one of the toughest power hitter parks in baseball for right-handed or left-handed bats, and the fact that I think he's just kind of a meh power guy, like raw power guy, I'm not sure. Like maybe he could get to 20 homers, maybe 22-ish.
He's on pace for 22 over 100.
Yeah, like I think that's probably close to the ceiling. So like I think you're probably looking at like a sub-peak Michael Brantley in his best case scenario, not the Michael Brantley who was, hitting 20 homers and stealing 20 bases, but he could give you a 300 average and 18 homers and 15 steals, and there's a lot of value in that.
Yes, for sure, 100%. So if he keeps this up, I think he can be top 25-ish. Alex Verdugo. Jesse Winker had a double dong with 2 walks on Thursday. He is now batting .373 with a 1095 OPS. The production has never been the issue for Winker. For his career, he's batting .284. He has an .864 OPS. He's never played more than 113 games in a season. So I can't tell you guys to, hey, pull out your injury crystal ball and tell me if he's going to stay healthy. But Scott, if he does, if Jesse Winker plays, let's say 140 plus games, what does the upside look like for him?
Whenever I hype Winker, he burns me severely. It's happened a couple times before, including just last year, where I remember.
So talk him down, Scott. Talk him down.
For August, kind of he and Joey Votto traded places last year. Like August, Jesse Winker was like MVP caliber, and in September he disappeared, and it was kind of opposite for Votto. I don't want to talk you down. I mean, there's a lot to like here. He's good on base guy, more power than he gets credit for. He's started 9 straight, and he's led off all 9 of those games. I just I'm a little wary because I've been burned before, and because we've seen him get really hot and cool off. Not just last year, but a couple years ago when he had the shoulder stuff going on. But I think right now there's enough potential and enough. I think there's still a chance there is a big breakthrough in there that you need to be invested in him for now and start him until it runs out.
I mean, he's crushing the ball right now.
Yeah.
Look, again, production has never been the issue for Winker. He just needs to stay on the field, and so far he's been great again. It's a decent lineup, great ballparks to hit in, and like Verdugo, the batted ball data thus far, the ground ball rate way down for Jesse Winker, which has hampered him at times. He's hitting more line drives, more fly balls thus far. If he keeps it up, he can be great. I think he can hit close to 30 home runs, maybe even exceed that with a good batting average. So
his per 150 game pace over the last 2 seasons is like 32, like 2019 or 2020 and 2021. It is like 32, 33 homers. So
yeah. He's awesome. I just think he's healthy.
I think, I think Dominic Smith production is in the realm of possibility for Winker if everything goes right. By the way, he hit 104 last September. That's how 5 for 48. It wasn't a full month, I guess. But yeah, that's how badly he collapsed.
He either got hurt or had a COVID situation. I remember something happened in the middle of last season, Scott, with Winker that just completely derailed his season. So
still walked a lot.
Yeah.
302 on base percentage despite batting 104. That's pretty good.
Last name I'll mention, we don't really need to talk about him much, but Nick Castellanos, he went 2 for 6. He hit his 6th home run, first game back from his 2-game suspension. He is batting .299 with a 970 OPS. I've said this for, I don't know how long, but I think that there is a Freddie Freeman season somewhere in that bat of Castellanos. Maybe this is the year, could hit 300, 35 plus home runs, 100 RBI. I think it's definitely possible. It's just keep doing what you're doing, Nick Castellanos. Don't change a damn thing. Wanted to mention Carson Kelly, and if this is a breakout, we're getting a lot of questions about him right now. And Carson Kelly hit his 4th home run. That whole game was just crazy. The Reds and Diamondbacks on Thursday. Kelly hit his 4th home run of the season. He's batting .351 with a 1267 OPS. He has started 12 of 19 games. He is on pace for 102 starts over 162 games, 71% rostered. So it's not widely available. He's probably out there in some one-catcher leagues, but is this it? I mean, is this the breakout season we've been waiting for Carson Kelly?
It might be. It's too early to say, but everything looks good. He's hitting the ball harder. He's walking a ton. He actually has 13 walks compared to 10 strikeouts. The expected stats actually look a lot better than they did 2 years ago, 2019, when we kind of thought he was emerging as a stud then. So, I mean, it's kind of, I'm kind of seeing it as another Brian Reynolds situation where maybe the wisest decision would have just been to ignore 2020 because he's picking up where he left off more in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, he's been incredible against left-handed pitchers, which he's always been much better. But he's still been pretty good against righties. And so, it's like a 900 OPS against righties. I don't think he'll do that. But if he can be like an 800 OPS against righties to the point where, it becomes harder to sit him for Stephen Vogt, which has happened probably too many times this season, then yeah, I think he could be a top 12 catcher. I don't have him there right now, but it wouldn't take much to move him up.
2 quick email questions that we received. This one's from Mike. Would you guys drop James McCann for Carson Kelly in a 12-team head-to-head categories league?
I had that same decision to make. It wasn't to pick up Carson Kelly. I wanted to drop one of them. And I put in a waiver wire bid to drop Kelly, but I don't know how I feel about it. I guess one thing is like McCann does have more games left, which I kind of like.
And he's going to play more consistently.
Like he's going to play a lot more, and he had his team has more games left, is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think if it's a shallow enough league that Carson Kelly's still available, I just like McCann isn't going to the best case outcome for McCann isn't one that in that shallow of a league you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I gave up James McCann. So I think I'd make the switch. I think I'd see where this goes with Kelly and trust that there'll be another pretty good catcher option out there if it doesn't pan out. But it probably will. I'm pretty confident Carson Kelly is going to be a starting caliber catcher in fantasy rest of season. It's just the upside might be higher than McCann.
All right, I changed it.
This next one's from CM. I drafted Gary Sanchez this year, and I am just discouraged once again by the issues with both his playing time and clear further decline in production. I was excited in week 1, but that confidence is going away. I have already picked up Carson Kelly. Is it time to consider moving on from Sanchez? And I will just piggyback off of this question and say Kyle Higashioka hit his 3rd home run of the season on Thursday. He now has more home runs than Gary Sanchez in 28 less at-bats.
I think Gary Sanchez is going to be okay as long as the Yankees stick with him. Like he's not. The biggest problem for him last year was just the strikeout rate was absurd. And it hasn't been this year. It's been fine. It's actually been among the best Sanchez has ever had. And he's still hitting the ball really hard. He's still, the hard hit rate, the exit velocity, even accounting for the fact that it's up across the league. I mean, it's still what you expect to see from Gary Sanchez at his best. So I think he's going to be okay.
I do too. And people are going to call me a homer. It's fine. But I think now is the time. If people in your league are freaking out about Gary Sanchez, go out and get him on the cheap. The plate discipline looks great so far this year. The expected numbers are better than what he's actually done. And for his career, he has a 25% home run to fly ball ratio. So far this year, that is 13%. So that's nearly half of what it's been for his career. And it's been a pretty long career. Like that's a pretty big sample size. The Yankees have played a lot of their games in the Northeast thus far where it's been very cold. The ball's not flying very well. So I think Sanchez is going to be all right. I would still take him over Carson Kelly. And if you have him on your team here, I wouldn't drop him.
Yeah. Chris sounds kind of pained though.
I wish I could share your optimism.
Well, I have him. I have a bunch of shares this year, and I've never owned Gary Sanchez before, so I'm just kind of hoping that what I'm saying is right, and I'm going to go with it.
I'm hoping it is too. I'm not optimistic. I'm hopeful, I guess. There are good signs, like you guys mentioned, but he still pops up too much. He's still one of the pulliest pull hitters in baseball. He still gets under the ball too much. Like it's the kind of thing where like he hits a lot of really hard fly balls that are probably like, 4 degrees of launch angle too high to actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so slow. And so like you add all those things up and it's like he pops up a lot. He's really slow. He's easily shiftable. He's actually one of the most shifted right-handed batters in baseball. He's up to 60% of his plate appearances have been shifted. And so I just add it all up and it's like, that's exactly the kind of profile that if someone was going to underperform their expected stats, that is the kind of profile that would underperform expected stats.
Well, how did you feel about Sanchez heading into 2020? Because personally, I felt like there was nothing to worry about prior to last year when he was coming off a 34 homer season. He had a 33 homer season 2 years before that. And
I thought he was going to be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why he's the one whose 2020 counts for more than anybody else's.
I don't know if his 2020 counts for more than anyone else's. It's just, now we're last 4 seasons, 186, 232, 147 batting average. Like 242, I think you'd be pretty happy with from Gary Sanchez at this point.
Yeah, 232 would be fine if he's the best power hitter at the position.
Yeah. He still hit 10 home runs in 49 games last year. So the batting average was terrible. I can't defend that. But if he hits 230 with 25 to 30 home runs, he's still a top 8 catcher at the league.
If he's fine, he's hitting more than 30 home runs, I would say, because basically he had 4 seasons prior to last year. One was just a 53 game season when he first came up. He had 20 home runs in those 53 games, then followed it up with a 33 season, then had a really bad year, then came back with a 34 homer season, and then had a really, really bad year last year when a lot of players had strangely bad years.
All right, we got to move on from Gary Sanchez. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hit the Week 5 pitcher and hitter planners here on Fantasy Baseball Today. The Week 5 pitcher and hitter planners presented by Leinenkugels. I want to start off with just some team schedule notes. It's kind of all over the place thus far. There are 5 teams with 5 games in the upcoming week. There are 10 teams with 6 games, and there are 15 teams with 7 games heading into Week 5. As always, Scott, why don't you get us started with some of your favorite 2-start pitchers that are rostered in less than 80% of CBS leagues?
So we got to go to a scary place here. I think the best 2-start pitcher, I'm up at it to 80% or rostered and no more than 80% of leagues, because 75 was. This has been difficult, Frank. I don't trust my own recommendations because I have to recommend something, but it's not great. Okay, so Domingo Germán made his return today and got the best results he has this year. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but then didn't give up any more. Made it 6 innings. Only 2 of the 3 runs were earned. Got 6 strikeouts in those 6 innings. The velocity was down, though, basically 2 miles per hour. And I wonder if it was him intentionally dialing back the velocity to command the ball better, to not get sunk by home runs like he did in his first 2 starts. Still gave up hard contact. Maybe he just got lucky on the home runs today. I don't know. It was a good start, a quality start. And considering his matchups this week are Orioles and Tigers, that's probably the best you're going to find on waivers for a 2-start pitcher. I'm not saying everybody should go pick up Germán and get him active for a 2-start week, but I'm saying I have to recommend someone, and that might be the best I can recommend. Okay. Is that fair?
This is the thing about a weekly column is that it comes up every week, no matter whether there's actually stuff to write about.
Yeah. Adam Wainwright is 76% rostered, so might not be able to find him, but coming off a great start. His last couple starts have been pretty good. One of his 2 matchups is Pittsburgh, so that I feel okay about that one. Justice Sheffield, not off to a great start, but not terrible either. The matchups are tougher at Houston versus the Angels, but he is a 2-star pitcher if you're just looking for volume in a points league. Anthony DeSclafani, been pretty good for the Giants. One of his 2 matchups is Colorado in San Francisco, so that's a really good matchup. At San Diego, not so much. But again, if you're just looking for volume in a points league, I think Sheffield and DeSclafani are not so bad. I mean, personally, we're kind of down to a level like, do I really want to drop a player to add this guy for the 2-start week? And I would usually come out no there, but some people are really into streaming pitchers. What can I say?
What were you whispering there, Chris, about DeSclafani?
I like DeSclafani.
Anything you want to add on him?
He's been pretty good 2 of the last 3 seasons. Last year he made 33 innings and wasn't great, but 2019 he was at over a strikeout per inning. Peripherals that mostly backed up a sub-4 ERA. He's at a strikeout per inning right now. He pitches in a great venue. Colorado in San Francisco is an amazing matchup. I feel like I'm going to get roasted for this one, but in a 12-team points league, I have a claim in for Anthony DeSclafani to drop Andrew Vaughn.
Boom. Roasted.
Look, a points league dropping a bench hitter for a bench pitcher, I think, is rarely a bad idea. Yeah. So I'm not going to roast you for that.
Actually, I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I would even start him. I've got Woodruff, Scherzer, Musgrove, May, and Alcantara. They're all 1-star pitchers, but I don't know.
You got to go with the 1-start studs.
Who were they again? I'm sorry.
Woodruff, Scherzer, Musgrove, May, and Alcantara.
Yeah, it stinks that you don't have a single 2-star pitcher, but there's no way I'm sitting any of those guys for 2-start DeSclafani, personally.
Yeah,
I agree with that. And I brought this up many times regarding DeSclafani, but his career in Great American Ballpark when he was with the Reds, 4.94 ERA outside of that venue, a 3.61 ERA for DeSclafani. So he could be worthwhile this season in Oracle Park. Scott, a few single start pitchers that you like as sleepers heading into next week?
Well, it's more just because I think they're under rostered than the matchups. Danny Duffy, 72% rostered. It's at Minnesota, so understandably some trepidation there, but 3 great starts with the fastball velocity improved, getting whiffs, getting strikeouts. One of those 3 starts was against the Angels, so he's already handled a good lineup. I think among the pitchers that might be on waivers, that's probably the best you're going to do. Andrew Heaney at Seattle. His last start was pretty good. The start before that was awesome. That's a pretty good matchup. I'd be willing to run Michael Fulmer out there if I was in a pinch at New York, as bad as the Yankees have been so far. Again, I wasn't really discouraged by how that last start went for Fulmer. Velocity was still up. The slider was still getting some whiffs. And I don't know. Again, we're getting into, okay, I'm pretty desperate here. I just need somebody. I don't know that I'd write off Jake Junis at Pittsburgh. His last start was pretty bad, and it was against the Rays, which should have been a good matchup. But that cutter, it still looked nasty, even though he gave up some hits. I think there's a pretty good chance he bounces back at Pittsburgh.
The Pirates, by the way, are currently 27th in weighted on-base average versus right-handed pitching, so I can get behind that as well. Scott, why don't you wrap us up here with some sleeper hitters for Week 5?
So these two are also pretty highly rostered, but below 80%. Jed Lowry, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore for 7-game week. 3 of the matchups are against lefties, and he's just destroyed lefties. He's pretty much destroyed everybody this year, but especially lefties. Nick Solak, a 7-game week, again with 3 lefties on the schedule, and at home, his splits at home and against lefties are particularly good. Justin Upton, the Angels have let's see, they face the Rangers and Mariners rotations this week, and Justin Upton heading into, I don't think the Angels played today, right? Thursday? I don't think they did. They did?
Cristian Javier.
Okay. Oh, yeah. But anyway, 3 home runs in his last 5 games for Upton. And he finished last year on a power binge. He homered 4 times this spring. He's historically been a very streaky player. I think with those matchups and the kind of run he's been on recently, hey, he actually reached base 2 times tonight, as much as Javier dominated. I think Upton's looking like a pretty good play, and he's available in more than half of leagues. So that's a good one. I like Kelly this week. I like Joey Wendell this week. Obviously, they've been hot hands. I might run Austin Riley out there in a roto league as like a corner infielder. He's showing signs of heating up, and 7-game week for the Braves.
Although
Some
that
of the
home
weaker
run,
parts of the Cubs and Blue Jays rotations.
that
Yeah, it
Austin
was the
Riley
Yankee
homer
Stadium
was
home
it was
run,
a DJ
I know.
LeMahieu special.
It was, but I still think I think he's showing signs of coming out of it, and I don't like the strikeout rate is way down. I think it's too early to write him off, and it might be the start of something here.
The 5 teams with the best hitter matchups for next week: the Yankees, the A's, the Rockies, Red Sox, and Astros. The 5 teams with the worst hitter matchups are the Blue Jays, Indians, Brewers, Giants, and Nationals. Once again, the Week 5 pitcher and hitter planners presented by Line and Kugels. The weekend is nearly here, and you know what that means. I'm going to sit down, play MLB The Show, relax, watch some baseball, and of course, enjoy an ice-cold lemon haze IPA from Line and Kugels. I've tried a bunch of IPAs and can confirm this one is different. It doesn't leave you with any nasty aftertaste. It's really smooth, a well-balanced, hazy IPA that blends hops with delicious lemonade, and that's not all they offer. They also have a Session Helles, which has all the flavor of a delicious German-style beer, but it's only 99 calories. And of course, I can't forget the classic Line and Kugels Summer Shandy, which is a crisp beer with refreshing lemonade flavor. So no matter what type of beverage you're craving, Line and Kugels has you covered. Just head on over to Liney.com. That's LEINIE.com, or follow Line and Kugels on Instagram or Facebook for more information about all the delicious beers that they brew. I wanted to hit some waiver wire hitters, but we spoke about these guys already. Brian Reynolds, David Peralta, Pavin Smith. Mention him again. I think I brought him up either yesterday or the day before. Arizona Diamondbacks, former first-round pick, went 2 for 5 on Thursday with a walk, a run, and an RBI. He has led off now for 3 straight games, and the expected numbers are pretty good. 306 expected batting average, 474 expected slug for Smith. The only problem, 55% ground ball rate. Don't love that. But 9% rostered. Mentioned that 15-team Roto League. I have a bid in for him, so in deeper leagues, he is the name that I am looking at. Anything to see here with these starting pitchers, guys? Nick Pivetta had 6 innings of 2-run ball on Thursday against the Mariners. Mitch Keller at the Tigers, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts. Jose Urena, back-to-back starts of 7-inning, 2-run ball. Justin Dunn at the Red Sox, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, 15 whiffs on 100 pitches. Aaron Sanchez at home against the Marlins, 5 shutout with 2 strikeouts. Pivetta, Keller, Urena, Dunn, Aaron Sanchez. Chris, anything to see here?
I'm trying to count up how many hard hit balls Jose Urena gave up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to the Pirates. That's like 24 against a real team.
You're not wrong.
No, Jose Urena will, because he pitches so much to contact, occasionally he'll run into good luck and go deep into a game because he pitches efficiently and doesn't go deep into counts. But usually he gets hit hard. I think Mitch Keller is the much more interesting pitcher among that group, although I'm still waiting for him to show signs that he's figuring it out. And I'm not necessarily sure tonight's game was, but among this group, I think he's probably the most interesting. I think Justin Dunn is probably second. Justin Dunn did change up his pitch mix a little bit tonight, didn't throw his slider as much, was throwing his curveball, and did okay against a very tough Red Sox lineup. He's got good stuff. He just can't find the strike zone.
He only has 3 walks over his last 2 starts, and it was 8 in his first. So that's progress. I mean, he's only gone 5 innings in each of his last 2 starts. Justin Dunn has, but the whiffs in particular against the Red Sox, I was pretty impressed by that. So not picking him up yet, but I think a name to watch. His next start is at Houston, and obviously that's a really tough matchup right now. You don't really want to run many pitchers out against the Astros in Houston. The call to the pen, some bullpen updates from Thursday. Richard Rodriguez picked up his 3rd save for the Pirates. Stephon Crichton in a 14-8 game allowed 2 hits and 3 runs. Crichton got hurt, right? I I didn't see exactly what it was. Do you know by any chance?
Yeah, I think he got hit on the hand, if I remember what I read, because I didn't actually see it either.
Yeah,
But
X-rays
I
were
know the
negative.
X-rays were negative.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean he'll avoid an IL stint necessarily, but he should avoid a lengthy absence. Yeah, it looked like he had just gotten his second save on Wednesday. But if he misses any time here, I think that throws the role back up in the air, especially since Joaquim Soria is close to returning. In that same game, and I know you're about to say this, but Lucas Sims looked like he was maybe getting an audition as the closer for the Reds. It was a tie game in the 9th inning. Obviously, Amir Garrett's been terrible. I can't imagine he'll get the next save chance. But it was Sims' third straight day working. Second straight game because one game was divided into 2 days, but technically the third straight day of working for Sims for the first time all year. And he got knocked around, 3 earned runs. So it's worth noting that Sean Doolittle, who would have been the other choice to close potentially, worked earlier in the game and gave up a couple runs himself. So I
walked 3.
I don't think either pitcher really did anything to advance his case. So maybe Sims gets the next chance too, but clearly he needs a day or two off before that happens.
It's a mess right now. The Reds bullpen has been a mess.
I mean, Sims had been awesome until today, and
Right.
like I said, third straight day. So I'm hopeful he gets another chance. I'm overall for his fantasy value. I'm taking today as a good sign for Sims, even though he was terrible.
I'm wondering if at some point TJ Antone gets a look. I know they like him in this multi-inning reliever role, but he's been great. So either make him the closer or make him a starter, because he's just kind of in this fantasy limbo right now where, okay, he helps you with ratios, he gets you some strikeouts, but he could be more valuable if they would just move him into one of those other roles. For the Mariners, Kendall Graveman was used in the 8th in a tie game against the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the lineup. Rafael Montero pitched a clean 9th with the game tied and wound up with the win. To stream or not to stream, we're going to hit all 3 days of the weekend, boys. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The way we're going to do it, I'll give you 5 or 6 of what I think are the best for that day, and you tell me your 3 favorites. So starting with Friday, Alex Wood versus the Marlins, Dane Dunning at the White Sox, Jay Happ versus the Pirates, Huascar Ynoa versus the Diamondbacks, Mike Minor at the Tigers, Casey Mize versus the Royals. Your 3 favorite.
You've put me in a real bind here because I answered this question yesterday, and now I have to try to remember which ones I said yesterday. I think I said...
You said Ynoa and Dunning for sure, and then I think you said Wood.
I think so.
I'll go Ynoa, Mize, and Dunning.
All right, on to Saturday. Brady Singer at the Tigers, Adbert Alzolay versus the Brewers, Kyle Gibson at the White Sox, Drew Smyly in his return from the IL versus the Diamondbacks, and Robbie Ray at the Rays.
I don't hate these so far. I'm gonna go.
I want to say Robbie Ray so badly.
See, that's
but
probably the least interesting one to me.
I can't trust him yet. The control hasn't been there.
I feel like a Robbie Ray game is coming, like a classic Robbie Ray, 6 walks, 5 runs.
See, I thought you meant like a 9 strikeouts in 6 innings with 1 run allowed. That tricks us.
We have a different perception of a Robbie Ray game.
I think both count as a Robbie Ray game.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go Singer.
Singer's my favorite by far.
I'm gonna go Gibson at the White Sox.
I think Alzolay is the second for me.
Yeah. The thing about Alzolay and Smyly both is I just don't know that they're going to get more than 4 innings. And what's it worth to you if they're only going to get that? I'll lean Alzolay over Smyly, I guess, for my third choice.
And for Sunday, choose 3 of these. Danny Duffy at the Tigers, Michael Fulmer versus the Royals, Bryce Wilson versus the Diamondbacks, Matt Shoemaker versus the Pirates, Jake Arrieta versus the Brewers, and Logan Webb versus the Marlins.
Duffy at Detroit, easy. Yep. Fulmer versus Kansas City, I think, is pretty easy too. It's the third one.
Yep.
The third one's a no, whoever it is. I'm going to say, I'll say Shoemaker versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was thinking Arrieta versus the Brewers, but I don't feel super confident in it.
Arrieta has not been terrible, and the Brewers are without Christian Yelich.
And have been mostly terrible.
I will break the tie, and I will say Arrieta. But I don't hate Shoemaker in deeper leagues. Let's wrap up with a few emails here. This one's from Garrett. I am in a daily head-to-head points league. My 2 allowed IL spots are already full. I need to make some waiver moves due to other injuries. Christian Yelich and Ketel Marte. Should I hold on to Max Fried or Wander Franco? Or should I do my best to hold on to both? All right, we're going to throw that out. Choose one to hold on to, Fried or Wander Franco.
I mean, you should try to hold on to both, but
I think it's got to be Fried.
Holding on to Fried or discarding Fried?
Holding on to Fried.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
This next one's from Jim. I waited on outfielders this year during the draft, figuring I can pick up decent guys later on. Now it hurts. Should I give up on Ian Happ or Jeff McNeil or be patient? 16-team head-to-head points league. Top waiver options are Adam Duvall, Jurickson Profar, Avisail Garcia, Jordan Luplow, Robbie Grossman, the gross man, and Chris. I assume that's Chris Taylor.
Yeah, 16-team league. You got to be patient.
I was thinking Michael Taylor maybe, but it wouldn't change the answer.
Oh, yeah. It might be Michael.
Oh, yeah. It probably is Michael Taylor. Yeah, McNeil, I'm confident is going to bounce back. And I was talking about moving Happ out of my top 30 outfielders, but better days are ahead for Happ.
Yeah, I there are still reasons to be optimistic about Ian Happ.
And same for McNeil. His Statcast page is still pretty good. It's been a slow start, but
and even if it wasn't, like just because you're making weak contact doesn't mean you're damaged as opposed to being in a slump.
I wrote about that today, actually. Yeah, like there's often an assumption that like, oh, this guy's not hitting the ball hard, and it's like, well, yeah, guys actually go into. We often think of slumps as like, oh, he's had some bad luck, and it's like, well, no, sometimes just guys aren't locked in for whatever reason, and sometimes guys just do get hot.
Which is how we used to think of it before we were introduced to all this StatCast stuff, and now we think we know more than we actually do.
Yeah, or we would think about it as like, oh, there was just some bad luck, or he had a few extra seeing eye singles, and now it's like we microscopically look into everything and say Byron Buxton's got 70% hard hit rate. This means Byron Buxton's a superstar, and it's like, well, he is, but he's probably just hot too.
I will say Avisail Garcia has been okay this year. I wouldn't drop either Happ or McNeil for him. I do like Garcia a little bit, and the Brewers play 7 games this upcoming week, so he's the one. If you want to add somebody, not to drop those players, but Garcia is the one that I like most. This one's from Eric. Give up Tim Anderson and Carlos Rodon. Receive Corbin Burns.
Wow.
Ooh.
I mean, if it's a shallow league, I could get behind this totally.
As long as you have a decent shortstop replacement,
obviously, yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah, if you're backfilling that position with Paul DeYoung, probably
that's the problem. Is there's not a lot of shortstops.
Yeah,
there's like 13 pretty good ones.
But I'm trusting he has somebody good, and he's trading from excess at shortstop and just upgrading a pitcher. And I think for at least the next 3 months, you're not going to do much better than Burns at starting pitcher.
Last one we'll get to here. This one's from Alex. I've been offered Juan Soto for Corbin Burns. I have Garrett Cole, Aaron Nola, Joe Musgrove, John Means, and Taylor Rogers as well.
Yeah, you have to do it.
I think you have to.
You hate trading Corbin Burns, but it's Juan Soto.
Right.
Agreed. Across the board. Before we wrap up here, are you guys excited for this Mortal Kombat movie coming out on Friday by any chance?
But the first one was so perfect, Frank.
They actually made a second one back in the day. I don't know that I've ever seen it, but
I'm not really. I mean, of course, Mortal Kombat is just a part of the zeitgeist. So I know enough about it, but I never actually played Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I never did.
It was a big part of my childhood.
No, I believe it, but yeah, I can't say I'm excited because I don't have that nostalgia for it,
Get over here. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I never really played Mortal Kombat either.
Alrighty, I'm on an island. Like always, it's fine. For Scott and Chris, I am Frank. Thank you all for listening and watching Fantasy Baseball today. We'll be back again on Monday. Bye-bye.